This is why you should always be careful of who your neighbors are. In 1991, a neighbor in this apartment complex smelt this really foul odor coming from this guy's apartment. In fact, this odor was so strong that one day this neighbor had enough and wanted to see what was going on. She was able to catch the man in the hallway as he was coming home. This neighbor approached this man and she asked what was going on for there to be this smell. The man would say, I'm sorry, my refrigerator went out and I had meat in there and it must have gone bad. I will take care of it. But the smell never really seemed to go away. And on top of that, this neighbor felt that something was off and something was just not right. She would go to the police and report what was happening, but police didn't really pay attention to her concern. Not many days later, this neighbor who lived just down the hall from this man would approach him again and she would ask, why is there this smell coming from his apartment and what was he doing in this apartment to create this smell? The man would claim, oh yeah, sorry, my fish died and I have not taken them out of the fish tank yet. I will take care of it. Again, the neighbor would contact the police and she would tell them what happened, but the police, again, didn't pay much attention to this situation. But wait, it gets worse. One night, this guy had invited this man over to his apartment. He told the man who was at a local bar that he would pay him $100 if he could take photos of him at his apartment. And on top of that, they could also drink and hang out and do whatever. It would be easy money and the man agreed. When they got back to the apartment, the man already noticed the strange smell, but he tried to ignore it. His plan was to make some cash, hang out, and leave. But then things seemed to go from strange to something out of a horror film. The man from the bar felt kind of uneasy and was ready to leave, but the guy from the apartment didn't want him to leave, so he quickly handcuffed this man and threatened to kill him with a knife if he tried to leave. Terrified, the man tried seducing this guy in hopes he would let his guard down so he could get away. And as they were laying there in bed, this guy put the knife to this man's chest and said he would eat his heart. At this point, it was fight or flight. The man from the bar, after many failed attempts, was able to finally break free. He punched the guy in the face and ran out the front door of the apartments and ran outside. This man running outside saw a police car and he flagged them down. The police stopped and they saw that he was handcuffed. The man explained what happened and that this freak put these handcuffs on him and asked the police officers to remove them. When their key failed to remove the handcuffs, the man showed them where he ran from, and the two officers and this man went up to this guy's apartment to see what was going on and also to get the key to get the handcuffs off this man. When they got to where this guy's apartment was, and again, they were hit with this strange odor, they knocked on the door. The guy opened the door, invited the two officers and the man who escaped inside. The guy explained what happened and tried to play it off as it was no big deal. The officers wanted to know where the key was. The guy stated that the key was beside his dresser in his bedroom. The officers would not be prepared for what they would encounter next. Officers started to get a strange feeling of the situation, not to mention the horrible foul odor. Now, knowing that the key is in the other room, one of the officers started to make his way to the bedroom. But the guy tried to walk past the officer to get inside that room first. But the other officer ordered the guy to back off and don't move. The other officer went into the room to get the key, and as he was walking into the room, he saw a huge knife under the bed. And as he got closer to the dresser, he saw that one of the drawers were open, and when the officer looked inside the dresser, he was shocked. What he saw was Polaroid pictures of what could only be described as different stages of body dismemberment. The officer walked back into the living room where everyone was standing, and he took the pictures and he showed his partner and said quietly, "These are for real." When the guy saw that the officers had his pictures in hand, he immediately went into action and tried to fight them to get away, but he was quickly tackled to the ground and handcuffed. What came next would become a true living nightmare. The officers inspected the house. They went to the kitchen and opened up the refrigerator, and there at the bottom of the fridge was a severed man's head. Trying to make sense of the situations, the officer looked at the guy, and the guy who was pinned to the ground and handcuffed turned his head and looked at the officers and said, For what I did, I should be dead. They also found human organs and body parts in the refrigerator and freezer. They continued their search throughout the apartment and found 7 human skulls along with more body parts. In shock, they found this huge plastic drum that had acid in it, which was used to dissolving the bodies of this man's victims. It's said that this guy claimed over 15 lives. This man who committed these ungodly crimes was Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey died while in prison in 1994. That does it for today's story. Hit that thumbs up. Peace, I love you, and as always, God bless.